My name's Zach Maxim, and I'm a laser sailor. Fortunately, everybody's pretty familiar with the laser, and so I'm not going to tell you about the size of the sail and different types of boats, the radial floor and everything. I'm not even going to tell you which one's best for you, depending on your weight and everything. What I am going to tell you is what the laser is to me. It's not the most exotic high-performance boat out there, but it is the one that produces the most reliable, consistent results time after time throughout from 10 to 80 years old. I'm here to tell you what so many great sailors from Southern California have in common. Guys like Bill Hardesty, Andrew Campbell, Charlie Buckingham, Tim Wadlow. They all had a similar roadmap to success. They all happen to also be College Sailors of the Year. They're all from Southern California. And they all followed a real similar roadmap and kept bringing back the laser time and time again. That map will take you from Coronado to Cabrillo Beach, all over the nation to national events, North Americans, and it'll take you worldwide, world championships all over the place. Places like Halifax, which we just had the World in 2009, 2010 they're in Germany, or I'm sorry, in Great Britain. They go to places like Brazil, all over the place. But that roadmap starts at the beginning of summer, which is where we are right now. And I kind of like to look at 3 different phases of laser sailing. And the first phase is your first laser event. And what I mean by that is not your first actual regatta that you show up to, but regattas that you can bring your first laser to. Generally, your first laser isn't the fastest boat. It's maybe you picked it up at a garage sale for $1,000 and found out you had to put like $2,000 into it. But
call Zach.
Yeah. But it's faster. The slowest laser is still faster than a Sabbath, and faster than that's the first step. You're 10, 11 years old, and oh right, this laser is it's a beater. It looks really terrible, but it'll whoop the pants off the Sabbath in a day. So those events that you need to start dragging your laser to, your first laser, are the Junior Commodore Regatta, the Luffins that happen all summer, the Junior Olympics up in Santa Barbara. That's July 15th. Fly to the Lasers, everyone's really familiar with. The Frost series that happens all year round. These are all things that you can do right now at Sabbath age to stay on top of the game. You can sail as much as you want because you don't need a crew. So oftentimes we get people to get kind of pigeonholed into the crew angle because the next step is high school and they want to sort of get ready for that. But if you were to just drag your laser around to some of these smaller events, when you show up for your first day of high school practice, you're going to be a great crew, and you're probably even going to be a pretty darn good skipper. And right there's more options open because you've taken that extra step and put a little more initiative into it and sailed some of these these fun events. Yeah, you do good at these events. You follow these smaller ones, and you're going to have a great double-handed career. And you can leave it at that and never sail lasers again. But the guys like Charlie, Andrew, and then some more contemporary names like Chris Barnard and Nevin Snow. Those guys take it to sort of phase 2 laser sailing, where they do sail. They do sail 420s, they sail high school and everything, but they do the Midwinters West too. They put together a campaign for that. They show up at the youth champs. They go to the Orange Bowl and sail their laser. We've got a pretty stacked event calendar this summer. A lot of these events are going to be here in Southern California, so you'll have a chance to go to see that happen and see what a scene it is. The youth champs is a big deal. And it's going to be right here, and you're going to get a chance to check that out. Generally, this is sort of the end of high school. I've seen what these guys are doing this. They're going to the national championships. They're going to the North Americans, along with international 420s or FJ in high school sailing. And you see them stick with sailing and continue to get even better and at the top of the fleet when they always fall back to the laser regattas. And so many times kids just forget about the laser, and you know, we've seen it at CISA. The full rig fleet has dwindled quite a bit, and the radial fleet's taken off. Fortunately, we have a lot of girls that participate in that event, or at that clinic. But by the time these sort of hardcore laser sailors are at the end of their college career, they're kicking butt. And like I said, I just rattled off college sailors of the year that were all from Southern California, and they were at the top of the college sailing game. That's when they start to make the step into phase 3, which is a phase that not many of us get to, but they're showing up at the OCR regatta. That's on their calendar every year. They're going to the Worlds and actually putting together a budget and raising money to get to that event. Then they're looking at the Olympics and ISAF events, traveling around the world, getting on the U.S. sailing team. And you know, that's sort of their senior year at college. And whether they take that next step into lasers, or maybe in another Olympic class, 470s, or you know, 49ers or something like that. You know, it all started with the laser, and it all started with the flight of the lasers and that first beater boat that you just went out there with. And take that step into high school, just don't forget about the laser. That's kind of really my point that I want to hammer home to everybody, because going out there sailing by yourself, you can't do it enough. I hope that helps. The roadmap starts at the Skyra calendar website, and you just start ticking off those events, and eventually you'll be finding yourself at OCRs and Worlds, and hopefully a really good sailor. That's it.
I'm going to jump in here as the FJ rep, because everyone else bailed on me. Just a quick little snapshot of how did we end up with the FJ. In the 1980s, we didn't have a program like we have today. We didn't have a calendar that looked like this for junior sailing. We had a few laser regattas. We had a little bit of laser 2 sailing going on, but things in general were not that well organized. And a couple of dads, one in particular, drove into my parking lot one time and said, you know, I got 4 kids coming along here. They're sailing Sabbats, but the oldest one's getting ready to age out. What are we going to do? And we took about a year and a half and did a lot of analysis. And there were about 100, 150 FJs that were being used by colleges by that time. Started back in the mid-70s here in California, and we were now at about 1987 or so. And there were about 150 FJs from San Diego to San Francisco being used by the colleges. And we looked at the different boats and the economic possibility, and basically we said that the FJ was the right boat. Is it the best boat? Is it something amazing? Is it the fastest boat? It's none of those things. But it was relatively inexpensive. It's relatively easy to transport and to store. It fit the weight combinations that we were kind of looking for. It was a relatively easy boat to sail and to learn in. In fact, it was founded as a youth training boat in Germany way back in the early 60s. The Flying Dutchman, consequently the Flying Junior, was developed as a youth training boat. So that's what we went with, and that's really what kicked off a lot of the high school growth in Southern California. The FJ is now used in about 60% of the college programs around the country, almost exclusively here on the West Coast, in the Northwest, much of the Midwest, and about 50 to 60% of the East Coast. Some of the Gulf Coast and some of the other areas, the number 2 boat in high school, college sailing is the 420 that has about 35% use in college sailing. So that's its backbone is high school and college sailing. And back in those days, we added what is actually a 420 spinnaker to the FJ to call it the Club FJ. So now you can sail the high school regattas all school year long, and you can sail in the summer with the spinnaker.